again with another edition today. And Jake Garcia, top 25 player in the 2021 recruiting class. And this is a guy that was actually, if you remember, Tyler Van Dyke's big breakout in 2021. So De'Ara King was the starting quarterback in Miami in 2020, a Houston transfer. Really had a great 2020 season, was a really accomplished quarterback, dual threat guy, exciting, dynamic quarterback at Houston. De'Ara King transferred to Miami, had a nice season in 2020. Early in 2021, serious injury for De'Ara King. Turned the job over, it should have been to Jake Garcia. Jake Garcia was the number 2 quarterback at Miami at that point. But Jake Garcia was injured in training camp. I may get this slightly off. This was very early in the 21 season. He was either injured in training camp as the number 2 quarterback or very early in the 21 season. So Miami had to go to its third string quarterback, and Tyler Van Dyke played out of his mind. And a lot of people at that point, especially Miami fans, thought that that was a precursor of great things to come for Tyler Van Dyke. But no, it's just a flash in the pan for like 8 games. Basically threw for 350 and 3 or 4 touchdowns every week. So Tyler Van Dyke eclipsed Jake Garcia. Then Jake Garcia hung around for the next season. Van Dyke got hurt. Jake Garcia got into some games for Miami and looked terrible. Terrible. Jake Garcia has a game against, I believe it's Middle Tennessee State. We'll have to look up the numbers. Middle Tennessee State, I believe, beat Miami by 3 touchdowns. One of the oddest games. Middle Tennessee had one of the worst offenses in the country. They were a 3-touchdown underdog that won by 3 touchdowns, like 45-21 comes to mind. And they had, I believe, 3 touchdown plays of over 90 yards. Well, that was not Jake Garcia's fault, but he was equally atrocious in the game, had 4 interceptions, I believe, 3 or 4. So then Jake Garcia goes to Missouri. I don't know what he was doing there because Brady Cook was the starter, and he never played at Missouri in 2023. Then he turns around and goes to East Carolina. And you're talking about a top 25 player, top 3 quarterback, 3 or 4 quarterback in the country coming out of high school, went to East Carolina last season, won the job as the starter coming out of camp, but he was benched after throwing 12 interceptions, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and was replaced by a former Michigan State quarterback. Trying to think of his name. Kevin Hauser. He was a former Michigan State quarterback, replaced Jake Garcia at East Carolina after about 6 or 7 games. So I guess I've given you a lot of information on Jake Garcia and his road to Ann Arbor. But if you want to boil it down to a nutshell, you don't want Michigan fans, Jake Garcia, taking any meaningful snaps this year. You don't want that. No. So I expected the typical progression where, okay, you've got the 5-star, and he's a true freshman. This is not a Julian Sayans situation where he's a redshirt freshman. Big difference. Even though Sayan only threw 12 passes last year, still got into games, and more so, it's the off-season conditioning for a second time. It's the weight training. It's filling out, becoming comfortable with the offense and with the signals and with the terminology and all of that. Just having another year, even though you did not play in regular competition. I think there's a big difference there. So Bryce Underwood, I thought, without, again, having insight into what's going on there at Michigan, would be a guy that would give way to Mikey Keene. And Mikey Keene, you bring him in from Fresno State. He was the starting quarterback at UCF. 65 touchdowns, 28 picks for Mikey Keene, 68% completion percentage. Really good quarterback. Michigan fans got to see Mikey Keene when Fresno State was at the Big House last year. And Fresno State actually had a shot in that game. A shot. And they were driving the ball down the field in the final 4 minutes. And then Mikey Keene threw a pick six to Will Johnson, and that sealed it. They could have gone in to get within 23-17, I believe. So he throws the pick six. And Mikey Keene, he's had a decent career, but he's injured. He did not play in the spring. Then, of course, our good buddy Davis Warren, who was Michigan's starting quarterback, benched, came back as the starting quarterback, and then had to watch Alex Orji come into some situations in the red zone that he didn't belong. But Davis Warren, of course, was Michigan's starting quarterback for both the bad early and then also the good late.
It's such a fascinating debate because initially I was in the position that you were, Mark. I thought Mikey Keene would kind of, allow the young freshman to get his feet under him, find a balance, get familiar with the college football game, the speed of the game, and going into intense environments like we're going to be doing in Norman, Oklahoma on week 2. But it does appear, due to the Mikey Keene injury that happened in spring ball, and Bryce Underwood's performance in spring ball, that we have reached a point of undeniable. Bryce Underwood is undeniable. He's so undeniable is because of his undeniability. It's an open secret that he's going to be starting week 1. Mikey Keene is a quality backup, much better. If we had Mikey Keene last season, Mark, highly likely we're a playoff team. Highly likely, not a guarantee, but far better QB than what we had last season, last year. But so what's interesting is with the Jake Garcia news, it was actually quite funny because there was a lot of fluster from rivals and our own fan base over the Jake Garcia addition, because a lot of them were concerned that, is Bryce Underwood not meeting expectations? Is our QB room that terrible, etc.? Well, the reality is our QB room is far greater than it was last season. And the reality is this: Bryce Underwood is a freshman who is not even 18 years old. He is 17. He turns 18 in August. We don't have depth in the room. Mikey Keene was injured. He is now throwing. He looks to be ready to be the backup come fall camp. But behind him, all we had was Jaden Davis. Jaden Davis, who was a former top 100 recruit, fairly touted well, was previously in the 5-star ranking, but he fell down the rankings. His issue is he has a mechanics issue that isn't going to play well at the college game. He has a windup, which is going to make it very easy for batted down passes, interceptions, and things of that nature. So that's one of the concerns with Jaden Davis. So our QB room looks like this, Mark. We have Bryce Underwood. We have Mikey Keene in the backup role. Jake Garcia is likely going to be the third option, although there's a lot of, the rivals want to rub it in saying how terrible our quarterback situation is because we had a Jake Garcia, but the reality is likely the third option. Then you have Davis Warren, who tore his ACL. He likely won't be back until some are speculating October. So you don't have him through fall camp. And then you have Jaden Davis. And then you have the Herb Street kid. So what this addition really is, the Jake Garcia addition, is it's just depth. They are going to allow Jake Garcia, obviously, to compete. They're not going to tell him, hey, you're not going to. Of course, he's going to be able to compete. But the reality is, it's a lot to do about nothing. The truth is, Bryce Underwood, is as long as he is healthy, will be QB1. He was not going to be challenged. And that's just kind of where it is. We are going to live and die with an 18-year-old quarterback this season.
Yeah, if you just like to keep up with college football and just like names, it's fascinating because there's just so many names there. Like Jaden Davis was a big name when he was being recruited. Obviously, Bryce Underwood eclipsed him. But yeah, Mikey Keene's a guy that's thrown 65 touchdowns, so he's been around. Davis Warren was the starting quarterback last year. Jake Garcia was a top 25 quarterback. Herb Street's even got a name because of his last name. So Jaden Davis, why is he sticking around? Is there some speculation that what's he going to do?
Yeah. So, okay. This is also another fascinating discussion in the Michigan circles, because the reality is, if I had to put money on it, Mark, he's going to enter the transfer portal in December. So if you look at it, they didn't add Jake Garcia until the portal window was closed. They allowed, because of the Mikey Keene injury, they allowed Jaden Davis and Bryce Underwood to battle through camp. We only had 2 active quarterbacks in camp because Herb Street was not even on campus yet. Davis Warren was injured and Mikey Keene was injured, right? So we only had 2 quarterbacks all through spring ball. They allowed Jaden Davis and Bryce Underwood to battle throughout camp. And then The reality is they add Jake Garcia after the portal window, so Jaden Davis cannot enter. He will have to wait until the December portal to enter. It's highly likely, if I had to put money on it, Adam Lamparello, if you want to bet me, we could put money on it. But Jaden Davis will be entering the portal in December, would be my speculation. We'll see. But, I would expect him to try and find an opportunity elsewhere.
So, yeah, when I heard this news about Jake Garcia, it was less about me thinking, oh, Bryce Underwood's not ready. It was more about them being concerned possibly about the health of Mikey Keene and him being ready to be the backup.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's really an insurance policy, right? Because we want to make sure we have enough in the room to go through fall camp. And, I don't anticipate, I honestly don't believe Jake Garcia is even going to challenge Mikey Keene, but, let him battle. I mean, let him go toe to toe in camp. You can't hand it to these kids, right? At the end of the day, they do have to earn it, which I think Michigan's going to have them do. But again, if I was putting money on it, I'm quite confident it's going to go Underwood, Keene, then Garcia. Jaden Davis, unfortunately, is going to be the odd man out. Davis Warren will return around October. And then Herb Street's going to enjoy the virtues of being a D1 athlete.
All right, TJ, we'll let everyone know, and I'm sure just about everyone watching realizes Tuesday and Thursday on the Michigan channel, everyone, 8 p.m. Eastern time with TJ. And keep in mind, hey, obviously, if you're a Michigan fan, you got to be there. If you're an Ohio State fan, you got to be there and trash talk. Yeah. And even if you just love college football, you got to keep up with Michigan. So check it out on Tuesday and Thursday.